Hey, what's up, guys? So we're back with another duo video here. This time we're going to be revisiting Xingqiu since the latest update has added some new artifacts for Hydra users. And we're going to be using him as a main DPS, pairing him with Fischl. These two together can do some really good damage and straight up melt enemies. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so starting off with Xingqiu's artifacts, we're going to run a 2-piece Heart of Depth and a 2-piece Noblesse Oblige. These are going to be ideal for him since we're going to be focusing on using his burst. The Noblesse Oblige is going to give you 20% more damage on elemental bursts, and the Heart of Depth is going to give you 15% more on your Hydra damage. So for the stats on his artifacts, you're going to want attack on his sands, Hydra damage bonus for the goblet, and crit rate or crit damage or attack on its circlet. On the substats, you'll want to get, usual more crit damage or crit rate, but also elemental mastery and energy recharge are going to be very useful to this build, so if you can get those, that's going to help you out a lot too. Alright, so for his weapons, I'm using the weapon that you get from the Albedo event, Festering Desire. It works really well for him with this build. Now, if you didn't play the event, then don't worry, the Sacrificial Sword is going to be great for this build, especially if you have C4, which I'll explain after I go over the other weapons. The Battle Pass Sword is also going to be great to use with him. If you don't have any of these three that I just mentioned, then just try to get one that has energy recharge, because the priority is going to be using his skill and burst with this. So if you don't have anything with recharge, just try to get something with attack percentage. And it should go without saying, but if you have a 5-star weapon, definitely go with that. So with his constellation, this build can work with C0 Xingqiu, but if you do have some constellations with him, C4 is the most you'll need. Obviously, if you have him at C6, then great, but C4 is what really lets you get crazy numbers of damage. If you have him at C4 in combat, you want to start with your burst and then use your skill. This is where the Sacrificial Sword is like ideal because you can spam his skill a lot more often. And on his talents, you really just want to focus on his burst first, and then level up his skill, and then leave his physical damage for last. Alright, so moving on to Fischl now, we're going to be rocking the 4-piece Thundering Fury set with her. I highly recommend it on this build because the 2-piece is going to give you an electro damage bonus. The main thing we want to pay attention to here is that you're going to get 40% increased damage to electro charge enemies and decrease your elemental skill cooldown. It's going to help you out a lot with this build. If you don't have the 4-piece yet, then just go with the 2-piece and pair it with a 2-piece Gladiator. If you don't have any Thundering Fury, then just run the 2-piece Gladiator and a 2-piece Wanderer's Troop. For the stats on the artifacts, you're going to want to go attack on your sands, electro damage bonus on your goblet, and crit rate, crit damage, or attack on your circlet. For substats, try to get crit rate, crit damage, elemental mastery, and attack. The focus here is we're just going to be using your skill a lot, so there's no real need for the energy recharge. And we really want to get that crit rate and crit damage up because we want to get it to like a 2-to-1 ratio so we can get the most damage out of her. Alright, so the weapons for Fischl, the Stringless is going to work the best in this duo, but the Sacrificial Bow, the Rust, or even the Battle Pass Bow, they're all going to be pretty good. If you don't got any of these, then try to get a bow that has Elemental Mastery. If you don't have anything with Elemental Mastery, then just try to get one with attack or crit rate or crit damage. You're not really going to need anything with energy recharge for this build because we're just mainly using her skill. Her constellations, C0 Fischl is going to work just fine with this. And as for her talents, just focus primarily on upgrading her Knight Rider, as that's what we're mainly going to be using, which we're going to be focusing on using her skill for this build. So next up is Albedo. He works very well in this team comp for the additional damage and buff that he can give. He's very flexible with the artifacts. If you don't mind being a bit more flexible with your gameplay, the 4-piece Archaic Petra is going to be ideal, or even a 2-piece if you don't got the 4. You're going to want to pair that 2-piece with a 2-piece Noblesse or Gladiator. stats you want to search for are going to be a little different, as you're going to want to focus on defense for his sands, geo damage bonus for his goblet, and defense again on the circlet. This is because his skill damage is scaled off of his defense, and for the substats, just look for defense percentage and crit rate or crit damage. So for Albedo's weapons, the Festering Desire or the Battle Pass sword are going to work pretty good for him. You can really use whatever sword you want because you're not going to be fighting with him too much. You're just going to be there to drop down a skill, use his burst, and then switch characters. So if you want to get something with energy recharge, that'll help you get his burst a little bit quicker. But important thing here is that one of his passive talents is that after using his burst, he's going to increase everyone's elemental mastery by 125 for 10 seconds. This is going to help you out a lot since you're going to be doing a lot of electro charge damage with Xingqiu and Fischl. Alright, so the last slot is going to be for your healer. You can basically use whoever you have leveled up and more comfortable with. This setup, I'm going to be running Qiqi. Bennett is kind of a no-brainer, but I'm running Qiqi just to show you that this is a very flexible spot, and the main focus here is Xingqiu and Fischl for this party comp. But I'll give you a quick little rundown on Bennett. If you're going to run Bennett, run the 4-piece Noblesse Oblige and focus on energy recharge and level up his burst. But we're doing Qiqi, so the best build for Qiqi healing would be a 2-piece Gladiator paired with a 2-piece Maiden's Beloved. I just don't really have Gladiator set for her, but her stats, we're going to go attack on her Sands and Goblet, and then go for healing bonus on her Circlet. Her weapons, just go with anything that has attack percentage, or if you feel you get hurt a lot, give her the Sacrificial Sword for that cooldown reset, and level up her skill on your talents because that's what you're going to use in the healers. So for the strat, you want to start with Albedo, use his skill, use the burst if you got it, switch to Fischl, use her skill, hop on over to Xingqiu, use his burst, follow that up with his skill, start attacking your enemies who are doing constant electro charge damage, and that electro charge damage is only going to be stronger if you use Albedo's burst because of that buff that he gives to your elemental mastery. And you're just going to rinse and repeat. If Fischl's skill is on cooldown, you can use your ult in place of it because that bird is going to stay lingering. If you switch characters, it's just going to use your ult, go back to Xingqiu, keep doing the same thing. Use Xingqiu's burst and follow up the skill, and you'll see you're just going to be killing these enemies super quick. Alright guys, so that's all the tips and tricks I got for you today. If you found this helpful or just enjoyed the video, go ahead and drop a like, leave a comment. If there's anything you'd like us to see, let us know in the comment section down below. Have a good one.